Imagine holding a tiny piece of silver history in your hand, a simple Roosevelt dime that could secretly be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. These aren't just coins, they're forgotten treasures from America's past, hiding in plain sight in your change, your drawers, or your grandparents' collections. Welcome to Coins Most Valuable, where we uncover the hidden stories and shocking values behind everyday coins most people overlook. In this video, we reveal rare Roosevelt dimes that have turned ordinary Americans into collectors, and in some cases, into the lucky few who struck silver fortune. So don't go anywhere. Watch this video until the very end, because the dime you least expect might be the one worth a fortune. And before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to Coins Most Valuable, hit that like button, and share this video, because today, you might just discover the dime that changes everything. Let's get started. First up, the 1978 Roosevelt Dime with no mint mark is one of those fascinating modern American coins that continues to attract the attention of collectors, treasure hunters, and coin enthusiasts across the country. At first glance, it might look like an ordinary dime, the kind of small silver-colored coin you see every day in your pocket change. But when you take a closer look, especially when that coin has no mint mark, the story becomes much more interesting and valuable than most people realize. The 1978 Roosevelt Dime represents a continuation of a long and proud series in American coinage history. The Roosevelt Dime was first introduced in 1946, honoring the late President Franklin D. Roosevelt, whose leadership and humanitarian efforts left a powerful legacy. By 1978, the design had already been circulating for over 3 decades, yet each year, subtle differences and minting variations created new opportunities for rare discoveries. The 1978 Roosevelt Dime without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During that period, dimes minted in Philadelphia did not carry any mint mark. So the absence of a mint mark doesn't always mean an error. It's simply a sign that it came from Philadelphia. However, within that group, certain coins stand out due to extraordinary striking quality, die condition, and exceptional preservation. These are the coins that collectors chase, and these are the coins that have reached surprisingly high values at auctions. This coin is composed of a copper nickel clad with a total weight of 2.27 grams and a diameter of 17.9 millimeters. The obverse shows the left-facing portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt with the word Liberty to his left, the motto, "In God We Trust" below, and the year 1978 placed to the right. On the reverse side, you'll find the torch symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength. Together, these symbols remind Americans of the values that define their nation. Now, what makes the 1978 Roosevelt Dime without a mint mark so valuable to collectors today? It's not just the historical design, it's the combination of condition, rarity in high grades, and collector demand. Most of the dimes from 1978 circulated heavily, developing scratches, nicks, and worn surfaces. But a small number survived in pristine mint condition, coins that look as if they were struck yesterday. When such coins appear at auction, they can command surprisingly high prices. One of the most impressive things about this coin is how its value changes drastically depending on condition. A well-circulated 1978 no mint mark dime might only be worth face value, 10 cents. But if you find a coin in uncirculated or mint state condition, especially one graded at the highest levels, it could be worth far more than its face value. Collectors will pay a premium for coins with sharp details, lustrous surfaces, and clean fields without marks or discoloration. Over the years, some remarkable examples of the 1978 Roosevelt Dime with no mint mark have appeared at auction. The highest price ever recorded for this coin was $431, paid at auction for a 1978 Roosevelt Dime graded MS-68 by a professional coin grading service. That means the coin was in virtually perfect condition, with a sharp strike, full luster, and almost no visible imperfections even under magnification. Think about that for a moment. A simple dime from 1978, worth only 10 cents when it was made, sold for over $400 just because it was preserved in flawless condition. That's a 4,000 times increase over its face value. This is exactly what makes coin collecting such an exciting and rewarding hobby. You never know when an ordinary coin in your collection, or even in your pocket, might turn out to be worth far more than you expect. Now, let's talk a little about how to recognize a truly valuable 1978 no mint mark Roosevelt dime. The first thing you should look for is overall sharpness and detail. Examine the portrait of Roosevelt carefully. His hairlines, the ear details, and the lettering should all be crisp and well-defined. On the reverse side, the flame of the torch should be sharp, with clear lines separating each part of the design. Weak strikes or flattened features usually mean the coin isn't one of the higher-grade examples, but strong details often indicate a coin struck from fresh dies. Another important factor is the surface luster. Original mint luster gives the coin a bright, shimmering appearance under light. Coins that have been circulated tend to lose this luster, while uncirculated ones reflect light evenly across their surface. Coins with full mint luster are among the most sought-after examples by collectors. The color and toning of the coin can also play a role in its value. Some 1978 Roosevelt Dimes develop attractive, natural toning, shades of gold, blue, or violet, due to chemical reactions with the air over decades. Collectors often pay more for coins with beautiful, eye-catching toning, especially when the underlying luster is still intact. Now, even though the 1978 no mintmark dime was produced in large numbers, more than 767 million pieces were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, that doesn't mean all of them are worthless. The vast majority were spent, dropped, and worn down through everyday use. Only a tiny fraction have survived in pristine, untouched condition, and those are the coins that can command impressive prices on the collector's market. Some collectors also look for minor varieties and die differences. For example, a small number of 1,978 dimes show slightly double lettering or unusual die cracks, which can make them even more desirable. These small differences often go unnoticed by casual collectors, but can dramatically increase the value for those who know what to look for. The Roosevelt Dime series has long been a favorite among coin enthusiasts because it's both affordable and rich in history. Even though it's a modern coin series, it still offers opportunities to discover valuable treasures hidden in plain sight. The 1978 dime with no mint mark perfectly represents that balance, common at first glance, but potentially valuable in exceptional condition. It's also important to remember that this coin marks a significant era in U.S. coinage, the late 1970s, when America had fully transitioned away from silver coins. The Roosevelt dimes from this period were made entirely of base metals, yet collectors still find beauty and value in them. The artistry of the design, the symbolism, and the enduring popularity of the Roosevelt series make coins like the 1978 dime worth keeping an eye on. For collectors building a full Roosevelt dime set, finding a top-grade 1978 no mintmark example can be a real challenge. The difference between an MS-66 and an MS-68 coin might not be visible to the naked eye, but it can mean the difference between a few dollars and hundreds of dollars in value. That's why careful examination, proper storage, and attention to detail are key when it comes to modern coin collecting. Over time, as more people recognize the importance of high-quality examples, the value of top-grade 1978 dimes continues to rise. The population of coins in the highest grades remains small, meaning demand often exceeds supply. This trend shows no sign of slowing down, making this coin an excellent piece for long-term collectors or anyone interested in the future of numismatics. If you ever come across a bright, shiny 1978 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark, take a closer look before spending it. It could be an ordinary coin, or it could be one of those rare high-grade survivors that's worth hundreds of dollars. Every coin has a story, and sometimes that story turns an everyday dime into a valuable collectible. The 1978 Roosevelt one dime without a mint mark continues to remind us that not all treasures come in gold or silver. Sometimes the smallest coin in your pocket can carry the biggest surprise. Whether you're a dedicated collector or just starting your journey, this coin proves that history and value can exist even in the most ordinary-looking places. So the next time you look through your change, remember this: a 1978 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark, simple, small, and unassuming, once sold for over $400 at auction. That's a testament to how condition, history, and rarity combine to create real value in American coinage. It's a coin worth learning about, searching for, and appreciating for the hidden treasure that it truly is. Next up, the 1973 Roosevelt one dime with no mint mark is one of those fascinating modern U.S. coins that remind us how even the smallest pieces of change can hold incredible value. At first glance, it might look like just another 10-cent coin from the 1970s. But for collectors who know what to look for, the 1973 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark can be a rare and valuable discovery, one that has captured the attention of coin enthusiasts and investors across America. Most people don't realize that even coins made of common metals like copper and nickel can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars when special conditions are met. And the 1973 Roosevelt Dime, with no mint mark, is a perfect example of that. This coin has sold for astonishing prices at major auctions, with the highest recorded sale reaching $1,840 for a pristine mint state example. That's right, a simple dime that most people wouldn't even glance at twice could be worth nearly $2,000 if it's the right one. To understand why this 1973 dime can be so valuable, let's go back in time to when it was first minted. In 1973, the United States Mint produced Roosevelt Dimes at 3 primary locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins struck in Denver carry a small D mint mark. Those made in San Francisco bear an S, and those struck in Philadelphia traditionally carry no mint mark at all. However, what makes this story so interesting is that certain 1973 Roosevelt Dimes without mint marks show special characteristics that set them apart, certain varieties, sharp strikes, and superior condition examples that make them stand out from the millions of regular dimes. The Roosevelt Dime has been in circulation since 1946, replacing the Mercury Dime as a tribute to President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Designed by John R. Sinek, it features Roosevelt's portrait on the obverse and a torch with olive and oak branches on the reverse, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. While most people think of silver when they think of old dimes, by 1973, the mint had already switched to a copper-nickel composition instead of silver. Even so, these modern copper-nickel coins can still hold tremendous value if they have the right rarity factor, error, or quality. Now, let's focus on the no mint mark factor that makes this coin so interesting. On Roosevelt Dimes, the mint mark appears just above the date on the right side of Roosevelt's neck. A typical 1973 dime from Denver shows a clear D, while proof dimes from San Francisco display an S. However, 1973 Philadelphia dimes have no mint mark at all. But here's the twist. Collectors and experts have found that not all no mint mark 1973 dimes are created equal. Some display exceptional die qualities, sharp details, and full torch bands, traits that dramatically boost their value in the collector's market. What really drives up the price of the 1973 no mint mark dime is its condition. In circulated condition, most of these coins are only worth face value, 10 cents. But in uncirculated condition, with original luster, sharp details, and no wear, the story changes completely. In mint state grades like MS65 or MS67, these coins can command huge premiums from collectors who want the best examples possible. In fact, the 1973 no mint mark Roosevelt Dime that sold for $1,840 was a gem mint state specimen with brilliant luster and full torch details, a coin that stood out among thousands of others. Collectors use a special grading scale from 1 to 70 to evaluate coins. A grade of 70 represents a perfect coin, with no marks, scratches, or imperfections visible even under magnification. Most coins that circulate lose value quickly due to wear, but if a 1973 dime somehow stayed untouched for decades, maybe sealed away in an original mint set or forgotten in a collection, it could still appear as fresh as the day it was made. Those are the types of coins that can bring big money at auction. Now, here's where things get even more exciting. Not all valuable dimes from 1973 owe their worth purely to condition. Some owe it to striking errors or die varieties. For example, certain Roosevelt dimes from this period show minor doubling in the date or lettering, unusual die cracks, or off-center strikes. These mint errors can dramatically increase a coin's collector appeal. Although the 1973 no mint mark dime isn't famous for a major nationwide error like the 1982 no P dime, certain examples with unusual features can still fetch impressive prices. Let's imagine for a moment that you found a 1973 dime with no mint mark in your change. The first thing you want to do is check its overall look. Is the coin sharp, bright, and free of wear? Do you see crisp details in Roosevelt's hair, face, and the torch bands on the reverse? If so, it might be a higher grade piece. Now, take a magnifying glass and look above the date. Do you see any mint mark at all? If it's completely blank and the area looks smooth, you might have one of the desirable no mint mark 1973 Roosevelt dimes that collectors search for. Even though Philadelphia mint coins were not supposed to have a mint mark during this period, the combination of rarity, strike quality, and collector demand for certain years has made the 1973 dime more valuable than most people realize. The U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes that year, but only a small fraction survive in perfect mint state condition, untouched by time. That's why even though many exist, very few are valuable. Only the best examples command top prices. What's truly amazing is how demand for high-quality Roosevelt dimes continues to grow. As more collectors focus on modern coins, attention has turned to coins like the 1973 no mintmark dime. Many new collectors are learning that they don't have to chase ancient coins or gold pieces to find value. Sometimes, all it takes is a sharp eye and a little knowledge about modern minting history. The Roosevelt Dime series is full of fascinating variations. There's the 1968 no S proof dime, the 1970 no S proof, the 1982 no P dime, and even certain double die errors that make otherwise common coins worth big money. The 1973 no mintmark dime sits right in the middle of this exciting timeline. Not a silver coin, not a proof error, but a collectible piece that represents quality, condition, and hidden value. Let's talk about what makes this coin so collectible beyond its price. The Roosevelt Dime carries deep symbolism in American history. Franklin D. Roosevelt's leadership during the Great Depression and World War II made him one of the most beloved presidents in U.S. history. When he passed away in 1945, the U.S. Mint quickly honored him with a new dime design, a coin that would forever bear his image. That legacy continues with every Roosevelt dime in circulation today. So, when collectors find special varieties like the 1973 no mintmark dime, they're not just holding a valuable coin, they're holding a piece of American history. Now let's think about how this coin might be discovered today. Maybe someone cashes in an old collection, or you open a forgotten roll of dimes from a bank. You might see a shiny 1973 dime and think nothing of it, but if it has no mint mark and happens to be in perfect condition, you could be looking at something truly special. It's moments like these that make coin collecting so thrilling. Even though the 1973 no mintmark dime isn't considered an error coin like some others, its value is driven by condition rarity, meaning that while there are many 1973 dimes, there are very few in flawless condition. Coin grading services often award top prices for coins that show full bands on the reverse torch, meaning the horizontal lines are fully visible and separated. That's a sign of a high-quality strike, and is one of the reasons why collectors are willing to pay thousands for the best examples. The record auction price of $1,840 wasn't just luck, it was a result of careful preservation and rarity in top condition. Coins like that represent the very finest known examples, and serious collectors are always willing to compete fiercely to own them. Even lower mint state examples can fetch between $50 and $300, depending on quality and demand. So, what should you take away from all this? The main lesson is simple: never underestimate your pocket change. The 1973 Roosevelt one dime with no mint mark may look like just another everyday coin, but under the right circumstances, it can be a true hidden gem. Whether it's a minting oddity, a flawless condition piece, or a historical treasure, this dime reminds us that small things can carry great value. Coin collecting isn't just about profit. It's about discovery, history, and the excitement of finding something rare. The 1973 no mint mark Roosevelt dime captures all of that. It stands as a symbol of how a tiny piece of metal, worth 10 cents on paper, can turn into a prize collectible worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. If you ever come across a 1973 dime, take a second look. Examine it carefully, check its details, and remember the story behind it. Because just like the lucky collectors who found those high-grade examples that sold for over $1,800, you might one day find your own treasure hiding in plain sight, a simple Roosevelt dime that turns out to be one of the most valuable coins you've ever seen. Next up, the 1990 Roosevelt one dime with the DE mint mark is one of those modern coins that perfectly shows how even everyday change can hold surprising hidden value. At first glance, it looks just like any other dime you might pull from your pocket, but certain examples of the 1990 Roosevelt dime with a Denver mint mark have shocked collectors by reaching incredible prices at major coin auctions. What was once just a small 10-cent coin has become a piece of numismatic history worth hundreds and even thousands of dollars, depending on its condition and rarity. The Roosevelt Dime series has been part of American coinage since 1946, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt, one of the most influential leaders in U.S. history. His portrait on the front of the coin, designed by John R. Sinek, has become an enduring symbol of leadership, progress, and hope. The reverse side, showing the torch, olive branch, and oak branch, represents liberty, peace, and strength, values that still resonate with collectors and historians today. Now, let's focus on the 1990 Roosevelt Dime, the coin that's drawing attention from collectors all across the country. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint, and that's why it carries a small D mint mark just above the date on the obverse side. Even though the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of 1990 dimes, only a very small number have survived in pristine mint state condition with exceptional strike quality, and that's where the real value lies. In circulated condition, most 1990 Roosevelt dimes are only worth their face value of 10 cents. But once you start looking at uncirculated, high-grade examples, the story changes dramatically. Collectors look for coins that have never been used in commerce, coins that still show full original mint luster, clean surfaces, and no signs of wear. When these coins are preserved perfectly, they can be worth a small fortune. In fact, one of the highest auction prices ever recorded for a 1990 Roosevelt dime was an astonishing $1,495 for a superb gem-quality coin graded in mint state condition with full torch details. That means this small 10-cent piece sold for almost $1,500, a staggering 14,950 times its face value. And that's not because it's made of silver or gold. It's simply because it's rare in such perfect condition. To understand why some 1990 dimes are so valuable, we need to look at how coins are made. During the minting process, each coin is struck between two dies under tremendous pressure. Over time, those dies wear out, leading to softer strikes or weaker details. That's why early strikes from fresh dies, those with crisp details and full torch bands on reverse, are highly prized. When you find a 1990 dime with full, sharply defined horizontal bands on the torch, it's called a full torch or full bands dime, and collectors will pay top dollar for it. So if you happen to come across a 1990 Roosevelt dime that looks especially bright, sharp, and well detailed, hold on to it. It could be worth far more than you think. Even if it's not a record-breaking example, high-grade, uncirculated dimes from 1990 can easily sell for $50 to $300, depending on the market and condition. Another factor that drives value in these coins is mint errors. While the 1990 dime isn't known for a single famous nationwide error, a few striking mistakes have been documented. These include off-center strikes, die cracks, and missing elements, all of which can turn an ordinary coin into a rare collectible. An off-center 1990 dime, for example, can bring hundreds of dollars if the design is cleanly shifted and still shows a readable date and mint mark. What makes the 1990 Roosevelt dime so fascinating to collectors is its place in modern coinage history. By 1990, the U.S. Mint had been producing copper-nickel dimes for over 25 years, ever since silver was removed from circulation coins in 1965. Yet, despite the metal change, the tradition of collecting Roosevelt dimes remains strong. Many collectors aim to complete full sets by date and mint mark, and high-quality 1990 examples are essential to finishing a modern-era set. When you study the details of the 1990 dime, you'll notice the precision and craftsmanship that went into its design. Roosevelt's portrait shows fine details in the hair, forehead, and neck area, while the reverse features a beautifully balanced composition of the torch, olive branch, and oak branch. A perfectly struck dime will have clean, sharp lines, especially around the lettering and the flame at the top of the torch. These features are what make the difference between an ordinary coin and a rare collector-grade specimen. Now, let's talk about where these coins can still be found. Believe it or not, valuable Roosevelt dimes are still out there in circulation. Many collectors have reported finding uncirculated 1990 dimes in bankrolls, old coin jars, or even pocket change. While finding a perfect mint state example in circulation today is rare, it's not impossible. And that's what makes coin collecting so exciting, the idea that you could hold a piece of hidden treasure in your hands without even realizing it. Every year, millions of Roosevelt dimes are made, but only a few stand out due to condition, strike quality, or errors. That's why it's important to check your coins carefully. Take a close look under good lighting, and use a magnifying glass if possible. Examine the torch lines, the rims, and the overall surface of the coin. If it looks flawless, with no nicks or scratches, and has that beautiful cartwheel luster that reflects light in circles, you could have a mint state gem. The 1990 Roosevelt Dime series also serves as an important reminder that modern coins can be just as collectible as older silver ones. Many people think only pre-1965 coins made of silver are valuable, but collectors know that rarity comes in many forms, including condition rarity, mint errors, and unique varieties. That's why coins like the 1990 dime continue to draw attention from both seasoned numismatists and new collectors alike. Let's go back to that record auction price, $1,495 for a 1990 Roosevelt Dime in top condition. That sale demonstrated that even coins from the late 20th century can command premium prices if they represent the best of their kind. Imagine finding one of those in an old collection or a forgotten mint set. These coins remind us that not all treasures are ancient. Some are sitting quietly in drawers, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. Roosevelt dimes also carry a strong emotional connection for collectors. Because they've been in circulation for so long, many people associate them with memories, family savings jars, or the change they grew up handling. Turning an ordinary dime into something extraordinary by recognizing its true worth adds a sense of discovery and history that's deeply rewarding. So what makes the 1990 dime so collectible? It's the combination of scarcity in high grades, eye appeal, and the enduring popularity of the Roosevelt Dime series. When you find a coin that's perfectly preserved with deep shine and full strike details, you're looking at something that transcends its everyday purpose. It's a snapshot of American minting precision, a small but powerful piece of history. And that's what makes this coin so valuable. The 1990 Roosevelt 1 dime with the DE mint mark has become a sought-after collectible that proves how attention to detail can pay off. It stands as a symbol of how modern coins, even ones made from common metals, can still achieve remarkable value in the world of numismatics. So the next time you go through your change or roll up coins from a drawer, take a careful look at those dimes. If you find a 1990 Roosevelt dime that looks uncirculated, shiny, and sharp, keep it aside. It might not look special at first, but under the right conditions, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, just like the one that sold for nearly $1,500. The thrill of finding a valuable coin in everyday life is something collectors never forget. It's what keeps people searching, learning, and appreciating the art and history behind every piece of currency. The 1990 Roosevelt D-Dime is one of those hidden gems that prove treasures can still be found in plain sight. That's why this coin remains one of the most intriguing dimes of the modern era, a small, humble coin that carries big potential. So always check your dimes, especially those from 1990 with the DE mint mark, because your next find might just be one of those rare Roosevelt dimes worth big money. Next up, the 1983 Roosevelt 1 dime with the PE mint mark might look like a regular 10-cent coin at first glance, but for coin collectors and treasure hunters, this dime holds surprising potential value that most people overlook. What many don't realize is that certain examples of the 1983 Roosevelt dime with the PE mint mark have sold at major coin auctions for hundreds and even thousands of dollars, turning what was once pocket change into a collector's dream. Yes, this small dime from the early 1980s, minted in Philadelphia, has proven that not all modern coins are common. Some have qualities, conditions, or errors that make them rare and highly valuable today. And one of the most stunning examples ever sold reached an incredible $1,265 at auction for a single 1983 Roosevelt dime with the PE mint mark in superb mint state condition. To understand why this dime can be so valuable, let's go back to its origin. The Roosevelt dime has been a staple of U.S. coinage since 1946, designed by John R. Sinek as a tribute to President Franklin D. Roosevelt. By 1983, these dimes were made of a copper-nickel composition rather than silver, following the mint's transition away from precious metals in 1965. Yet despite being made of base metals, these coins can still bring extraordinary prices when they exhibit rarity, pristine condition, or minting errors. The 1983 Roosevelt dime with the PE mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During this year, hundreds of millions of dimes were produced, but only a small fraction survived in flawless, uncirculated condition. Over time, most 1983 dimes were used in everyday transactions, picked up countless scratches, and lost their original shine. However, those few that remained untouched, coins with no wear, full luster, and sharp details, are now among the most sought after by collectors. Condition is everything when it comes to value. A 1983 Roosevelt dime with a PE mint mark in average circulated condition is usually worth face value, just 10 cents. But in mint state condition, with full torch details and no visible marks, the price can rise dramatically. Some certified examples in mint state 67 or higher have fetched hundreds of dollars, and that record-setting coin that sold for $1,265 shows exactly how powerful condition rarity can be. Collectors prize what's known as full torch, or full bands, details on the reverse of the coin. The torch in the center has horizontal lines that should appear crisp and fully separated. When those lines are complete and clearly defined, it means the coin was struck with strong pressure and fresh dies, an indicator of high quality. A 1983 P dime showing full torch bands can command premium prices, as they are far less common than ordinary strikes. What's fascinating about the 1983 dime is that it represents the modern challenge of coin collecting, finding perfect examples in a sea of ordinary coins. Most 1983 dimes circulated heavily, so coins that have survived in untouched, mint state condition are rare by comparison. This scarcity drives up demand, especially among collectors building full Roosevelt dime sets that include every year and mint mark combination. Another reason the 1983 P dime is valuable is its potential for mint errors. During the early 1980s, the U.S. Mint experienced several production issues that led to famous error coins, like the 1982 no mint mark dime. Because the same facilities and procedures were used in 1983, experts believe certain 1983 P dimes could have subtle die variations or striking anomalies that make them especially collectible. Double die obverse, die cracks, and off-center strikes from this year are all known to bring impressive prices. If you happen to come across a 1983 Roosevelt dime with a P mint mark, take a close look at it under good lighting. Examine the area above the date where the mint mark appears. Make sure it's clear and distinct. Then, study the overall condition. If the coin still shines with its original mint luster, showing no wear or scratches, you could be holding a valuable coin. Pay attention to Roosevelt's hair details and the torch lines on the reverse. These areas are where strike sharpness really shows. It's also worth noting that the Philadelphia Mint only began using the P mint mark on dimes starting in 1980. Before that, coins from Philadelphia carried no mint mark at all. So by 1983, the P mint mark was still a relatively recent addition. This period of change makes coins from the early 1980s especially interesting to collectors, as they capture a transitional moment in U.S. minting history. The Roosevelt dime itself has a rich and patriotic design. On the front is President Roosevelt's portrait with the motto Liberty and the words, "In God We Trust." On the reverse, the torch symbolizes freedom, the olive branch stands for peace, and the oak branch represents strength and independence. Together, they reflect the values Roosevelt championed throughout his presidency. When a coin like the 1983 P dime appears in superb condition, it's more than just money. It's a piece of American history preserved in metal. Collectors have a deep appreciation for these modern-era dimes because they're challenging to find in high grades. Even though they're not made of silver, the rarity of top-quality examples makes them valuable. Over the years, coin grading services have received tens of thousands of Roosevelt dimes from collectors, hoping to find that one flawless coin that stands above the rest. Only a handful have ever achieved those highest grades, and those are the coins that bring the record prices. Let's take a moment to think about that auction record again, $1,265 for a single 1983 P Roosevelt dime. That coin was authenticated and graded in top mint state condition with full torch bands, making it one of the finest known examples from its year. The buyer understood that quality and rarity go hand in hand, and that's what makes these coins so exciting for collectors and investors alike. But you don't need to be an expert to find one of these valuable dimes. Sometimes, treasures show up where you least expect them. People have discovered high-grade 1983 P dimes in original U.S. Mint sets, in old coin rolls, and even in loose change that's been sitting untouched for years. If you ever come across a bright, sharp 1983 dime, don't overlook it. You might be holding a small fortune in your hand. Many collectors consider the Roosevelt Dime one of the most underrated modern coin series. It's small, simple, and easy to overlook, yet it offers incredible variety and potential for discovery. From missing mint marks to double dies and ultra-high-grade examples, there's a world of opportunity hidden within this little 10-cent coin. The 1983 P dime, in particular, holds a special place because it combines modern minting technology with traditional craftsmanship. It represents a time when the U.S. Mint was refining its processes, yet still produced occasional standout coins that defy the odds of mass production. Each time a collector finds one of these rare, high-grade examples, it proves that even ordinary coins can become extraordinary. The next time you sort through a handful of change or open a roll of dimes from a bank, take an extra second to check the dates. Look for that 1983 P mint mark, and if your coin looks pristine, set aside. You never know when you might stumble upon a valuable gem. That dime could be worth $100, a few hundred, or even over $1,000, just like the one that sold for $1,265 at auction. In the end, the story of the 1983 Roosevelt Dime with the P mint mark is about more than just money. It's about discovery, attention to detail, and the thrill of finding hidden value in the most unexpected places. It's a reminder that even the smallest coins can tell big stories, and that sometimes history hides in the palm of your hand. So keep an eye out for that 1983 P Roosevelt Dime. It's small, it's humble, but just might be one of the most valuable pieces of modern U.S. coinage you'll ever find. And that is the incredible story behind one of the most valuable Roosevelt dimes ever made. But this is just the beginning. Because if you think this coin is amazing, wait until you see the Washington quarters I revealed in my previous video, coins that have shocked collectors with prices reaching into the thousands. You have to see it. So before you leave, smash that subscribe button. Join our community of coin hunters uncovering America's hidden treasures every single day. Like this video, share it with every collector you know, and drop a comment below telling me what rare coin you found or want to learn about next. Every like, every comment, and every share brings this channel closer to unveiling the next unbelievable coin discovery. Because who knows, your next dime, quarter, or penny could be worth a fortune. Stay curious, keep searching, and remember, the treasure might already be in your pocket.